Hey. Hold up there. Today is Wednesday, April 10th. What the shit, Kevin? Is this a chord progression podcast on a Wednesday and not a Tuesday? It's a special episode, baby. Yeah, so it's a special episode of the Chord Progression Podcast brought to you by My Song of the Day, Rock 2000 to today. My name is Kevin, and if you guys have listened to the podcast before, well, welcome back. I'm glad to have you. But if it's your first time, I want to say welcome to the My Song of the Day, Rock 2000 to today family. This is the Chord Progression Podcast where we talk all things rock music, maybe some metal as well, from the year 2000 to today. We normally have episodes out every Tuesday, and one did come out yesterday, but there was a huge development in, well, my music circle that I had to talk about today because, well, when I released the episode, a certain lineup for a certain music festival came out as I released the episode, maybe an hour after I released it. So I thought I got to talk about it, so that's why we're on the podcast. And there's some new music I want to talk about quickly as well, but mainly it's this musical lineup for this festival. I'll get into that in a minute, but time for the shameless plug section. So, of course, we got the Chord Progression Podcast, My Song of the Day, Rock tells into today. If you're listening on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or iTunes, or whatever, or Google Play, yeah, you can catch us on pretty much every platform at this point, so love it. If you are not subscribed to our Alexa skill, that's kind of what started out. I give you a new song every single day, and if you like it, you can keep playing it all over throughout the day. I think yesterday's song was The Wretched by Attack, and man, I actually kind of, one of our fans, it was her birthday yesterday, I didn't even know about it, she's a huge Attack fan, and I just kind of pulled that out of my ass. Didn't know it was going to work, but hey, I loved it. So I always give you a new great song every single day on our Alexa skill. You should say, hey Alexa, play my song of the day. As long as you're enabled on our skill, I've got the link in the show notes. And it's going to say, hey, enjoy the music, because that's all you're going to do is enjoy the music. It's great. You get a 5-second intro from myself and the whole song in its entirety. If you don't want to listen to it anymore during that day, you don't have to do it. But if you want to listen to it more than once, hell yeah. The next day you're like, oh, I want a new song. I got a new song for you, so trust me on that one. Also, check out the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel, where we have new videos out every Wednesday night and podcasts out on there whenever they come out, so every Tuesday morning. And on this case, on a special Wednesday podcast, Wednesday morning. Also, we're on Facebook, My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today. Twitter, that's where we talk to you guys on. Instagram, that's where we're pretty much at the biggest capacity at this point with creating a community. So join us on all those platforms. Yes, I've got everything in the description below, so come join us there. I'd love to have you on. And join our community, actually. That's probably the best way to put it. Join the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today community. Alrighty, so let's get right on into it. So why in the absolute hell would I be doing a special show on a Wednesday when I normally shoot on Tuesday? Well, Summerfest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is the music festival that kicked it all off for me when I was a kid. I mean, I knew about this ever since I was a little kid. The stories my dad would tell of him going to Summerfest from the 70s and the 80s, even the 90s after, I was born, because I'm kind of old now. I'm 24. But when I was a teenager, man, and, well, ladies, I look forward to the lineup release every single year because I would want to see, what bands am I going to be able to see? What shows am I going to get to go see? What bands am I going to get to discover? Who are my friends going to drag me to, basically? And when I was in high school, it was fantastic. Even when I was in college, I would, make sure I was online whenever the lineup was released so I could actually see who was going to play. I was so damn excited to see that. But in recent years, my excitement has dwindled. And I'll get to why shortly, but I mean, the excitement that I used to see from Summerfest, now this is back in this is between 2011 and I think the last good year I had was 2016 at Summerfest. So 2011 rolls around. I mean, I get to see, who did I get to see? Shit. I got to see Rise Against for the first time. I got to see Dropkick Murphys that year too. 2012, I got to see Hollywood Undead for the first time. I got to see Shinedown somewhere in there. I got to see Hollywood Undead twice. I got to see Rise Against again in 2014 and in 2016. I got to see Rush in 2012. Yeah, I know it's a little older, or actually a lot older, but Neil Peart stands alone as a drummer. Trust Krieger from Archer on that one, and trust me on that one. Neil Peart stands a fucking alone. Trying to think of some other shows I've seen. I mean, just, sprinkle here and there, but there are a lot of bands in there that I discovered from Summerfest and got to see for the first time. And some that my friends dragged me to. Some I liked, some were, I got some good stories about that, which I'll dive into. But lately, the hard rock crowd that I'm a huge part of has been completely underrepresented within the past couple of years. And I'm not a big fan of it because Summerfest is supposed to be called the big gig, so you're supposed to expect hard rock music. It was built on that foundation from the when it first started in the 60s, like late 60s, and then jumping into the 70s and 80s and 90s and early 2000s. It was built on hard rock. That's what it was. So you got to pay some homage and some respect to it. And the recent years, the lineup just has not shown that. I mean, I think the past 2 years, I've only gone once each year, and that was for a work function. I mean, a work function. You got to be kidding me. Actually, I don't even think I went in 2017. Did I? No, I didn't go in 2017. That was during a rough time in life for me. But basically what's been happening is they've been getting away from rock music, and they've been coming in with pop acts, a lot more hip-hop acts, country acts. And if they're going to go with rock, if they're going to go with some kind of rock music, they're going to go with more alt rock or soft rock or classic rock or hard rock from the 80s. And I'm just not the biggest fan of it because it feels like the rock community that's around today is definitely underrepresented on this. But before I get into that, I have to talk about the decision that Summerfest made to do this. And when I really think about it from an economic standpoint, because that is what I'm really into, I totally understand it. There's a point where you talk about the pop music. You're gonna get the kids to show up. You're gonna get when you get the kids, they're gonna show up more and more, and you're gonna get repeat, visitors and repeat concert attendees. You're gonna get a lot of the kids that'll come 6-7 times in the span of the festival, which spans 11 days. And they'll come and see acts, so your attendance numbers are going to go up, and you're going to get the kids to come. And that is huge. So, again, I totally get that from that standpoint. Country music has been booming a lot at Summerfest lately. And, again, I totally get the economic standpoint because there are a lot of country music fans, and they span across multiple different generations. And the country music fans come and spend a shit ton of money on beer, on food, and on merch. I mean, they come and they spend. So, yeah, I totally get it. I'm not bashing their decision to go with these from an economic standpoint. From a fandom standpoint, I will, but from an economic standpoint, again, I totally understand what it is. And then when they're going with more of a hip-hop crowd, you're getting a more diverse crowd in there, but you're still going to get a lot of different people to show up from multiple different generations and multiple different fan allegiances because that's just the way it is. And a lot of people are into hip-hop and rap these days and from all across the board. And again, I totally get it from an economic standpoint. You want more people in the gates. You want to create the biggest gig possible where you get the most amount of people in. I get it. I totally do from an economic standpoint. Then when they're going to go rock, they go classic rock mostly, or they go more alternative rock. Well, when it comes to alternative rock for bands today, which I will get into examples as I go through the list because I'm not impressed with the list from my standpoint. I get it because you're going to get those kids that really like, if they like rock music, they're going to go more towards that alt rock style. And that's where this is going to end up happening. But then you get the classic rock, and that's where you're going to get the older folks to come, and the older folks spend the money. They'll buy the beer because they have the goddamn money. And they'll go and watch, Foreigner and Styx. I mean, I've seen Foreigner and Styx in concert multiple times. I've seen Foreigner multiple times. I think I've only seen Styx once. But I digress. Basically, it's when it comes to hard rock music of bands that, you would listen to today, they're just not there. And as I was going through the list, so the headliners were already put out there. I mean, taking a look at the headliners that are there, they've got country acts like Thomas Rhett and Dustin Lynch, Jason Aldean. I think Kane Brown is one of them. I mean, I'm just kind of pulled up. Is Carly Pierce one of them too? I don't even know. You've got Zach Brown Band in there. You've got a band, and then I think those are pretty much your ones that at the amphitheater, which you have to pay extra for. Then you have your more alt rock, like the Killers. I mean, I would want to go see the Killers. Don't get me wrong. Bon Iver, which is, I don't even know what Bon Iver. Death Cab for Cutie, which is with the Killers. Then you have your hip hop and rap with Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, and Schoolboy Q all together. I was surprised they put Billie Eilish on the amphitheater. I'm surprised they didn't put her on a main stage just because when Imagine Dragons first hit it big, they did put them on a free stage, and that was the most packed day I've ever seen at Summerfest. I believe it was either Electric Lights was on the stage next to it. So, I mean, getting out of there was a bitch and a half. But then you go pop music, and I mean, there are some pop artists in here like, I would put Billie Eilish in there just because it's very popular with the kids, and Jennifer Lopez. I mean, what are you kidding me? Then you got old stuff like Michael McDowell's in there, the Outlaw Music Festival with Willie Nelson. Again, I get it because you're going to get people to spend a lot of money on that. But of course, whenever Summerfest released a lineup, which they finally did, everyone looks to the ground stage headliners, because those are the ones that are freaking free. And as excited as I was, I'm like, oh man, it was 6 a.m. It was right after my podcast came out. I got to work and I was excited to see what would happen. I'm like, let's see this. And as I started going through the list, I was just getting disappointed as I went on, because the bands I thought, oh, they might come to Summerfest because of this reason. They've come beforehand. They haven't been here in a while. They haven't been to Milwaukee in a while. I was hoping for this shit, and I mean, it just got disappointed. I was looking at all my bunch of friends on Facebook and, people on Twitter, and people were just raving about it, but it's all people that like hip hop and rap, people that like the pop music, people that like country. And for me in the hard rock community, I'm just like, oh God. So I was going through it and I was just noticing like Brandy Carlisle, Cole Swindle. I mean, come on. What, enough with the country, guys. The Lonely Island I was kind of surprised they had the Lonely Island at a ground stage, because that might actually be a good show. Steve Aoki, he's been usually there, but again, you're getting more EDM DJ style, and that's just something that just doesn't work well with me. You got Chicago. So Chicago, yeah, more classic rock. So again, I get it, but it's just, I kept going through Jason Mraz. I can't believe that he's still around. For alt rock, they're going with Walk the Moon. I have seen Walk the Moon live twice, and it's just not something I would really go to as a headliner more, especially because they're on the first day, and I don't really feel like going on the first day. That just doesn't sound appealing to me, because it's on a freaking Wednesday. I'll probably go for a work function, but I'm not going to stay. Young the Giant is going to be there. I've seen them in concert. Foreigner, again, more classic rock. Third Eye Blind, I've seen them once before there. They're always there. Jimmy Eat World, pop punk. Okay, now we're getting into something. A little Jimmy Eat World. I'm a fan of that. Keep going through. X Ambassadors, that's going to be more, hip hop. Three Doors Down, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Three Doors Down, I'm not surprised. But again, that's more 90s and more alt rock. That's just not going to really get into my hard rock kind of vibe, or your hard rock kind of vibe. Sublime with Rome, yeah, they're always there. I mean, always. As I go through Atmosphere, yeah, more hip hop. T-Pain, more hip hop. This one surprised me, and I might actually go see this one, but probably not. Taking Back Sunday. That's the first one that I thought, oh, shoot. I actually might go see this. Is Taking Back Sunday. Now I'm getting through the list already. I'm like, Taking Back Sunday? That might be interesting, especially because they're on their 20th anniversary or 20-year tour, I believe, after releasing 20 in January. But I thought, oh, okay, so there's a little blip on the radar. But otherwise, keep going through. Dashboard Confessional. I'm not the biggest on Dashboard Confessional. Styx, again, another classic rock. Loverboy. As we go through more country artists like Chris Jansen and Chase Rice. Now I'm looking at this, and there are two actual hard rock bands here. Now, these are the two that caught my eye when I first looked through, but I was still very intrigued by why they picked them. The first one is August Burns Red. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing August Burns Red, because I thought, that wouldn't be the worst way to go about it. But the one that stuck out in my mind as I was scrolling through was Skillet. Now, if you guys saw on Monday, I put out a post asking people what was their favorite Skillet album, and that one, I kind of got some good traction on it. If you listen to podcast number 4, you'll hear the story about me actually being at a Skillet concert in Milwaukee, for that matter, in Milwaukee at the rave, 2.5 weeks, or actually 3 weeks at this point, before the lineup came out. They were playing with Breaking Benjamin Under Oath. I lost my shoes in the mosh pit of that concert. I was really surprised at the fact that they're coming back to Summerfest, back to Milwaukee, 3.5 months after being here. I'm not complaining. I'm just kind of thrown back by it. I wasn't expecting it. Would I go see Skillet at Summerfest? They're on a Saturday night. And when I did see Skillet, Jen Ledger was doing her solo stuff with the Winter Jam tour, so she wasn't there. Do I want to see Jen Ledger actually play drums? Sorry, I had to take a swig of water. But do I actually want to see her drum? Absolutely. I want to see it, so I'll probably go see that show. Let's go through some more. Hanson. That's like 90s pop crap. Let's see who else we have. We got the Roots. The Roots usually do come, though. And they put Neon Trees, again, alt pop rock, not into it. Bone Thugs, I said Bun. Bone Thugs and Harmony, I know a lot of people were talking about that. Ludacris is coming back once again, and that's on the same day as August Burns Red, so I might go and see August Burns Red instead of Ludacris. I've already seen Ludacris once. I do have a soft spot for Ludacris. I did see him once live, and I love the Fast and the Furious. So his concerts are actually a lot of fun, too. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm being completely honest about this. But I just kept going through the lineup. Matisyahu was the one that pissed me off the most because I did see him in 2013. He went on 25 minutes late, and he barely performed because all he did was bitch about the audio quality. That's all he did. My friend and I were like, fuck this shit. So we just kind of left after that, but that was the biggest problem. And I kept going through, I got more. Silverstein, I might go see them. But again, June 29th, it's a headliner at the same time as August Burns Red, same time as Ludacris. So that just kind of just throws it all together. Because they all start at the same time. Might add that. If they're ground stage headliners, they're all going to start at 10 o'clock. And it's just not going to work. 38 Special, again, older rock band. Same thing with Foghat. Andrew WK, that one might be interesting, but it's on a freaking Thursday. Why would I go on a Thursday when I'm a working man? I used to go all the time, but I'm probably not going to at this point. Anybody else that just sticks out on the lineup as I'm scrolling through it? And yeah, I am scrolling through it as we go through. I mentioned it last time. We did lose Ozzy because he canceled, but then again, that's it for the ones that stand out. So August Burns Red and Skillet are really the only, and Taking Back Sunday are the only ones that just boom stick out in your head. But they put August Burns Red and Skillet and Ludacris all on the same freaking day. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to go and watch them because it's gonna be. I can only pick one, and I'm not gonna pick Ludacris at this point, just because of the fact that I've seen him already, and I've not seen Taking Back Sunday. I've not seen August Burns Red. I want to see both. I would like to see both, but I'm probably not going to. Will I go see Skillet again? That's probably the only one I am planning on going to. But otherwise, outside of that, this is another Summerfest lineup where I'm really disappointed as a hard rock fan because they really don't pull you in for hard rock whatsoever. Of course, they're not going to go metal because it's Summerfest. They want to get the crowd in there and they think metal scares them away. I get it from an economic standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, it does get me irritated. It does get me a little irate because this is the third straight year I've been disappointed with the lineup. I should say the fourth straight year because 2016 I was not impressed either, but the biggest fact of the matter was they had Rise Against up there and they were number 2 on the ground stage headliners, so I could scroll through and I didn't give a shit because Rise Against was on there. This lineup could have been saved if they would have gotten Rise Against back, but they didn't. And that kills me because they're from Chicago. Get some band from Chicago. Get Chevelle up here. I don't care. I mean, I love seeing the Chicago bands come up to Milwaukee. It's fantastic because it's a short drive for them, especially if they're still living in the area. And the fans from Chicago will come up and watch them play. And fans from Milwaukee, like myself, will come watch them play. We'll have a good fucking time. Same thing happened when in the mosh pit at the Breaking Benjamin Under Oath and Skillet concert. The guys that got hit in the head with my shoe was from Chicago. His buddies were from Chicago. I love it when the hard rock fans from Chicago come up to Milwaukee and come hang out with us and see concerts because they're always a good time. But you gotta get better bands in there for people, for the hard rock community. I do like Skillet. The biggest issue I have with Skillet coming to Milwaukee is the fact that I think it's not a big issue. It's just a surprise, actually. So scratch that. Not a big issue. It's a surprise because they were here in March. But I'm going to go see him again because I think Skillet puts on one hell of a live show. John Cooper is freaking insane up there. As a frontman, I think he's honestly one of the better ones we have in rock music just because he is ridiculous up there. And I do want to see them when they actually have Jen Ledger behind the kit. And, maybe I get to talk to the band for the chord progression podcast if we get big enough. But that's the biggest problem that you're seeing with a lot of the bigger music festivals that are not specific to a certain genre. So think about, your Summerfests, your Coachellas, your Lollapaloozas. Think about your festivals like that. Biggest concern with those is they're really just, when they're trying to branch out and say they're going for all these different kinds of music genres, they're really alienating that hard rock crowd. And actually the rock crowd in general, they're really alienating that for today's bands. I'm not a big fan of it, but then again, when you get down to it, like Rock USA and Wisconsin, Rock Fest in Wisconsin, when Northern Invasion, when they had Northern Invasion, I know there's one in Kentucky now, and I saw the lineup for that one in Kentucky, and I mean, I kind of went a little nuts on that one because I think our friend Silverline Motherfucker sent me that listing, and I gotta go check it out because I know he sent it to me. But shoot, I can't find it. I wish I could. But that's kind of what happened. I'm just getting frustrated with it because I look at the ones that are very specific, and of course, as a fan, as my type of fan, I'm gonna love it. In Oshkosh, Wisconsin, they always have Country USA. Yeah, I'm not going to that because I just don't like the music. It's very specific to country music. Country music fans that are hardcore, maybe the way I am with rock music, they're not gonna want to go to Rock USA or Rock Fest like I am. I totally understand, guys. Don't think I don't understand the economics behind this. I did take a deep dive look into this, and I totally understand it. It just gets me a little frustrated because Summerfest is basically a rite of passage in Milwaukee. It's kind of that way where it's, you go to a concert and you see a band and you sit out in the hot sun and wait for hours and hours and hours, and you listen to the bands that go on before them, and you go through some just egregious cover bands. Then you go through some good acts too. I mean, I did that one of the first times I was at Summerfest. I got there at like 2 p.m. maybe to see Rise Against for the first time, and I sat in the stands for 8 hours waiting for them. And I went through some pretty wacky cover bands. Honestly, and actually, a group that is following our page called Shinobi Ninja. I remember this exactly. They went on before the opener for Rise Against. So they're actually the opener's opener. And I remember seeing them, and they're following the page. They're following the My Song of the Day Rock 2008 page. So I kind of got to give a little bit of credit there because I think that is freaking awesome. And I remember them going on, and that's kind of when people started getting more into it. And then there was a Irish punk band that was like called Flatbush or Flatfoot 56, and they were good. Then the 3rd of July fireworks are going on, and right when you turn around, boom, Rise Against is on stage, ready to go, and they just kicked ass. It's a rite of passage like that where you're going to go see someone. But then again, I got to think about it, where is Summerfest actually doing the right thing for their business model? And I got to put my fandom aside for this one. I really have to, because I have to understand it fully. So do I think they're doing a smart job by putting this type of a lineup together for the people that are going to come? And I say, yeah, because you're going to get the older crowd with some of those older rock bands. You're going to get the country fans to come, and they're going to spend the money. You're going to get a lot of the kids and a lot of younger people, even my age, the younger adults, to come for the pop shows, for the hip-hop and rap shows. You're going to get them. And for those hard rock shows, you'd be better pressed to put them at the rave or a concert hall than you would at Summerfest at this point, especially because we love to mosh pit. There are steel bleachers everywhere, and you can't really mosh pit unless you're on the sides, and it kind of sucks. But that's just the way it is. So do I understand Summerfest's point for putting together a lineup like this, from the reaction on Twitter, from the reaction from my fans, and actually taking a back seat or step back and assessing the situation? I think they made the right call, but it just grinds my gears at the fact that you're really going away from rock music, and I just don't like it. But I might go see August Burns Red. I probably will go see Skillet. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Oh, man. Oh, shit, I'm on vacation. I might be on vacation for the August Burns Red concert. Shit. But I won't. And Taking Back Sunday. And Ludacris. But not Skillet. I'll probably be at Skillet. So Skillet Summerfest, if anyone's going to go there, hit me up. Just go DM us in any way possible. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just send us a message any which way. My email is kevin@mysongoftheday.com. Love to hear from you guys. But that's my take on Summerfest. I will put a post out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You see on the YouTube channel. Wherever you're finding this or wherever you're listening to this, let's talk about this Summerfest. Let's talk about the music festival issue, really getting away from rock music. Or should we just go stick to the specific ones? And should we give it's this, as a community, should we give up on the bigger ones like Summerfest, like Lollapalooza, like Coachella, even though Coachella and Lollapalooza are already pretty much giving up on us anyway? Should we give up on Summerfest and stick to the ones that are more specific, like Rockfest, Rock USA? I cannot remember the one that's going on in Kentucky, but in I think September, but that lineup is freaking insane. And should we just focus on those? I don't know. I mean, it's up to you guys. Let's talk about it, honestly. I am very curious about this. If you're listening to this the day it comes out, I do a live stream every single Wednesday, and I've got a couple of things I want to talk about in the live stream, and that is going to be one of them. Because I just cannot believe the line. I get disappointed every single year by it from a fan standpoint, but when I step back and think about it from an economic standpoint and a business standpoint, I totally get where they're coming from. So that's kind of my take on the Summerfest lineup for 2019. I am not a fan of it from a fandom standpoint, but from an understanding standpoint, I know they're doing what they're doing, so we'll go from there. And otherwise, I got a question for you. Did anyone check out, I mean, you probably did, but Falling in Reverse, their new single, Drugs, came out on Monday. And I was not able to talk about it on Tuesday for Tuesday's podcast, but I get to talk about it today. So, let me pick up my note sheet. I like my note sheet. It has everything. And let's take a look at what we have. I mean, you can tell that Falling in Reverse is definitely changing up their style from their first couple of albums, like Fashionably Late. They're definitely changing up their style. It sounds like it's a more mature style for them, even for Ronnie Radke. It follows the same kind of pattern as Losing My Life and Losing My Mind did, and I didn't really care for Losing My Mind. Losing My Life I actually really liked. So I did enjoy the fact that they did mix kind of some more electronic genre with hard rock, and of course then they're also putting some rap in there, some metalcore in there. Falling in Reverse doesn't have a goddamn genre. I keep seeing this thing on Twitter where it's like, "Hey Ronnie, what's the newest Falling in Reverse song genre gonna be?" And he just, Ronnie, yes. I mean, he just mixes it up all over the place. It's kind of convoluted, but I actually kind of like the song. I like the way it flowed. I like the difference in pace, and I like the difference in genres, like how they mix it up. I thought the message for the song was freaking spot on. Basically talking, you're talking about drugs, you're talking about partying, and then the party's over eventually. The party's always over at some point. And it's always, you got to get out while you can, and it seems like Ronnie's finally figuring that out through the song. And I did enjoy listening to it. I did enjoy listening to the message full on. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was an okay song. I thought it was a good song. And on top of that, some of the features that they had in there for different musicians, I actually did enjoy. So, drumming wise, they had Christian Coma of Black Veil Brides, who is now going to be on tour with them as they go through the rest of the year, because Black Veil Brides will not be touring, with Andy Black coming out the new album on Friday, which again I'll be reviewing. I'll talk about on the podcast. I'll do my album review on it because that's something I will do. And the surprise feature of them all was freaking Corey Taylor with a verse in the breakdown, which no one was expecting, not even myself. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I couldn't believe they put it together. Overall, I thought the song was rather well done for the direction that Falling in Reverse is going, and I'm excited to see what happens. But the previous night, I went on Twitter because I wanted to see what people were saying about it. And everyone was way off. And I got to tell you, I was kind of shocked at it, actually. So I gotta see what some people said, and I'll pull them up for you. I had at Sierra Alford say, you can't sit there and say the new Falling in Reverse song isn't good. And I'm like, okay, so there's positive. And I had at Danny Dillon 24, dear God, please bring back the old Falling in Reverse, amen. And I asked him back to Fashionably Late, and guy said, yeah, please. So that there's a split decision right there. Let's see. I've had a quick conversation with at So Wrong It's H, and he said, Falling in Reverse, Unpopular Opinion, I hate Damon Fizzy. Falling in Reverse used to be a really good band, but now they fucking suck. I said, why? Because they've gone a different direction with their last 3 singles. He said, that's not even it. I miss the old Falling in Reverse. Yeah, I know they need to change, but they changed for the worse. And I asked him, what would you want him to change? He said, in a way that would change music forever. Now Ronnie's just a dude that whines in a band. I said, I mean, that's a huge task trying to change music completely. Not many people have done that. The Beatles did it. Elvis did it. Michael Jackson did it. But it's very hard to accomplish something like that. And let's see, anything else I have on here? Because there were a couple others. I asked people about the Corey Taylor addition to it. And some people were very surprised with it and pleasantly surprised with it. But some people actually absolutely hated it. And I actually was kind of surprised with it because I was surprised that people were kind of going off on it. A lot of people were going off on the fact that Corey Taylor was in a song of Ronnie Radke's. And everyone was saying, Ronnie Radke's a piece of shit. I saw people that say the Falling in Reverse song is bad because of their opinions on Ronnie Radke. I saw people say the Falling in Reverse song was good, but they don't want to listen to it because of it's Ronnie Radke. And they said, why would Corey Taylor do this with Ronnie Radke? It was a lot of that, which I'm like, can you just listen to the song? I'm asking you about the song. I'm not asking you about what Ronnie Radke did before in his life. I'm asking you about the song in general. And people seem to be pretty split on it. There are a lot of people that didn't like it, a lot of people that did like it. I actually rather enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than Losing My Mind. I did not like what they did on that song. I did enjoy what they did on Losing My Life. And I'm interested to see what Falling in Reverse does from here as well, because it seems like they're on a path. You went with Losing My Mind, Losing My Life, and you went in a certain direction that seemed like a more mature, less emo-ish direction. But it's still, the lyrics are still totally there for emo. And it seemed like it just got a little bit more of a grown-up sound to it, which I do like. And I'm interested to see what happens from there. And see what the hell they do, because now they got 3 songs that are kind of just floating around there as singles. Is there going to be a new album in 2019, new album in 2020 that they're going to all kind of come together on? We'll see what the hell happens. And what comes of Falling in Reverse. It seems like a lot of people want them to go stick to that certain style. A lot of people don't want them to grow up, but then when people want them to grow up, they don't want them to grow up in this certain way. Again, I enjoyed the tune. I'm not going to speak on Ronnie Radke and what he's done in his life to this point. I'm just speaking about the song. I like the addition of Corey Taylor because it was a nice surprise addition. I did like what's his face's. I did like Christian Coma's addition as the drummer for Falling in Reverse for that song, and that he's going to be touring with them, while Black Veil Brides is kind of not touring due to the fact that Andy Black is touring with Andy Biersack's touring as Andy Black, going around after his solo album drops on Friday. So I kind of enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did. I know a lot of people did, and I did. So that's where we'll go with that. Outside of that, the main point of this whole entire podcast was to react to the Summerfest lineup, which I'm going to give you my quick 1-minute synopsis of it. I am not a fan of it from my fan standpoint, just because of the fact that it is a lot of country, a lot of pop, a lot of hip-hop and rap, and any rock bands are either older rock bands from the 80s or alternative pop rock bands like Walk the Moon, Young the Giant. The ones I do want to see are Skillet. However, I've seen Skillet already once this year, but I want to see them again because they put on a good show, and I want to see them actually with Jen Ledger behind the drums. I wouldn't mind seeing August Burns Red. However, they're on the same day as Taking Back Sunday. They're on the same day as Ludacris. And I just don't know if I'm going to be able to swing it because I might actually be on vacation for a little bit that weekend, so I might not be able to make it. Overall, From a fan standpoint, I'm disappointed that there's not more hard rock in there from, any time of today or for the past 10, 20 years. 15 years, I should say, 10, 15 years. From an economic standpoint, though, I think they made an album. I think they made a lineup that is going to please the masses, and I get it. So I'm not too happy about it from a personal standpoint, but from a business standpoint, I understand what they did. That's a huge thing. So if anyone from Summerfest is listening, my fan allegiance is like, what the hell, guys? My business mind and my practical mind on this says, I know you guys did this and I totally understand. It's just the line doesn't fit my tastes. That's kind of where we're going to end it there because, well, that was a special Wednesday episode of the Chord Progression Podcast. Okay, now I'm starting to go on a little bit of a freaking tangent, but, I don't care. It's my podcast. I'll go on tangents if I want to go on tangents. And I won't go on tangents if I don't. So, okay, why do I sound like freaking Wario? I'm kind of losing my mind. You're losing my mind. Okay, now I really am losing it. Thank you for listening to the special Wednesday edition of the Chord Progression Podcast. As always, follow all our stuff that's in the freaking show notes in the description. You will see it. And I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. We got new music coming out with Andy Black's Ghost of Ohio album. We'll see what kind of music news actually comes up there. Anything with maybe Slipknot. Maybe some stuff coming up with more Summerfest stuff. Maybe I'll talk about that more. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll get one of you guys on because I want to talk to someone about the Andy Black album, Ghost of Ohio. It'd be fantastic like we did with I Prevail's Trauma. And I'm hoping to do with New Year's Day's Unbreakable at the end of the month. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast Special Wednesday edition where I reacted to the Summerfest lineup in Milwaukee, Wisconsin over end of June, early July. As always, look at the show notes. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you listen to the podcast. Subscribe. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or on YouTube even. We have them all on there. And subscribe to our Alexa skill. That'd mean the most to me. And, well, that's it for me. This is Kevin from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today podcast known as Chord Progression. I end every single podcast like this, every single video. See y'all!